today I thought I would use the TD-3. Last time I just used the Sonicware Liven Mega Synthesis, and today I thought I'd bust this out because it's sort of my main go-to is like a mono synth. This is what I use this in every song that I make right now, and I thought it would be cool to sort of bring it in and show off some of the tricks that I've learned with it over the past year or so that I've been using it. So to start off with, I'm going to start with this one, and I've actually got a full 8 empty patterns right here. I'm in pattern, or track, yeah, I'm in pattern group 3 here, pattern group 3A, I'm in write mode. Currently I've got it set to use the internal clock, so even though it's plugged in, it's using the internal clock. So to get started with this first pattern, I'm going to write it in sort of a traditional 303 pattern style where I'm just sort of going to enter notes randomly, but I'm not going to like actually enter a random pattern. What I'm going to do is mostly center around one note, and then I'm going to have around like 2 or 3 other notes, and I'm going to use my main note in different octaves and those other notes sort of for color, and I'm just, I'm talking like I'm not just going to hit buttons randomly, so here we go. All 16th notes. Second pass to do the accents, transpose octaves up and down, and slides. Okay, I'm not liking this so far. I'm going to change the notes I'm using. I'm going to stay centered around F because that's really nice on the TD-3. I have like above my highest full octave I have like a 5th, and below the lowest one I have a 4th, which is really nice, and I can get that without retuning it, so. Okay, so that seems fine. It's got kind of like a loping thing going on where there's a lot of slides starting on the first step. Like there'll be a slide on step 1 and then on step 3 and 5 and so on. And we're basically just using an F, a B flat or an A sharp, a C, and a E flat or a D sharp. And that's all we're using for this. And we're doing that for a secret reason that we'll see later. Okay, I guess this is a good time to talk about the effects. Unfortunately, I can't make it show up on the webcam screen without, sorry, giant hand jump scare, but I can't make it show up on the webcam screen what's on this screen. So this is a GX14 Zoom effects unit for guitar. I'm using it for my TD-3 because why not, I guess. I have a DZ drive which has an option to it has an option that's just called deep, and it's got an option for mid cut as well. So it's really nice for like a rich bassy sound, I guess. There's not, I haven't explored everything on this little like digital effects unit, but this is one that I really like for the TD-3. Alright, I don't hate it. It's a good place to start. It's a little bouncy. Right now it's at a tempo that I guess is a little before, it's more in like, I don't know what tempo, it's like 112, it's a little slower than 120, so I don't really know what genre that's typically associated with. Also, I'm a little bit worried my mic is cutting right now, so sorry if it is. Alright, I turned the mic volume down, and I'm just gonna try and avoid talking super loud into it in the future. Sorry the volume's kind of been disorienting and jarring over the course of this video and the previous one. I'm really still learning how to work with recording like this. So anyway, but back to our stuff. I'm going to set this to, okay, I'm going to set it to using the sync pulse from this, running at a rate of like 1/16th note per 1/16th note, and I'm going to switch it to play mode for now. Okay, so that's the tempo I had it at. Okay, so yeah, faster seems better. I don't hate the distortion, but for now let's leave it off. And now we get to the reason why I'm only using 4 notes. So the 4 notes we're using are an F, a B flat, a C, and a D flat. And those are really simple notes that fit really nicely with an F chord, both a major or a minor chord, but they also fit nicely with a lot of other chords. And what we're going to do is have this running as a static line over the top of a 4-chord loop. Alright, so I fiddled around a bit. I've put the tempo back down to, it's at 114 right now, and we've got a chord progression that's kind of melodic. It turned out not to be a 4-chord loop after all. I started out by doing something that, I wanted to do something that started on F. And then, for no reason at all, I thought, like, what would happen if I started on the 4 chord instead? So I start on this B, it's a B flat minor here instead. So that's 4 minor chords. And this sort of happened by accident. The second time I went to play it, I ended up with this. And then I'm going to put a B flat sus to a B flat major chord on the end of that. So the entire chord progression sounds like this. I'm pretty happy with that. It's sort of, I kind of wish I had been filming because like I actually like managed to figure something out for this pretty quickly. But hopefully that sort of shows like how I came up with the process of getting the chords. I started with some simple chords that all use notes that are in our pattern, like an F chord. That's an A flat chord and it uses the D flat as well as the C. And the longer you have one pattern playing over and over different chords, like the more dissonance you can get away with because like the ear gets used to expecting this pattern again, and so it'll make it fit in places where it wouldn't normally fit. Alright, so I went ahead and wrote out the chords. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do a 12-tone thing and I can't do it. My handwriting's terrible. Not used to writing with Sharpies, but here's our chord progression. These are the 4 notes that we were using for our TD-3 pattern, and now we just have to like write the rest of the song. So I'm not really sure where to go from here. It sort of sounds really, it sounds kind of melancholy, and with the fact that this pattern can just stay the same the entire time, I kind of want to just put kick 4 on the floor and go from there. So I'm going to find a good kick. Something's starting there. It's very slow. It's kind of slower than I expected. It just kind of plods along and builds. I really like the 4 on the floor kick with this, and I ended up settling on this the sound in the string bank, the stringed instruments bank that sounds a lot more like a trumpet to me, but whatever. So it's very plain right now, and I honestly don't know what to do. This chord progression kind of just like, sometimes it feels more like I find things than like I write anything. That like ideally that's what I want. It's like I find the song, and if I'm good, then I can like recover it all. And if I'm not, then I can't recover it all, and then it's not a good song. But I'm not like actually creating anything. Sometimes it feels like. Oh, but what I was saying is before I lost my train of thought is that with this chord progression is very it's very melodic in and of itself. Like it has a melody going on, and like now that I've played it a couple times, I realize what's going on is that it has a descending line that goes. Sorry, it actually goes. And then it goes down and stops on that B flat for these last 2 chords, but it's sort of like, I think that's what ties it together, and that's what makes it sound like it's the same thing twice, and the first time it's all minor chords, even the second time it's all major chords. So like there's something there, and maybe I could do like some 16th notes that just go. That sounds like, it sounds like some kind of like song from a kid's movie, but I'm sure I can find some way to make it sort of work within the context of this. So I'm going to mess around with some, probably like using the little square waves on these, and just create some like 16th note texture so that it's not so like static. That's not a poor way to say it, because this is already going at 16th notes, but I want like more additional text. I have no idea what the song wants, so I'm going to take some time and try and figure that out. Alright, I'd definitely say it's coming together at this point. I added sort of the melody. It's just following that same sort of walk down the... and then it walks down again. And then it just sort of stays on that B right there. And it all fits together pretty well, but I realize I've made a critical mistake, and I've started this song in the place where I would normally want to end one of my songs. So I need to figure out something to build into this point. And I think to do that, I'm going to stay away from having a different kind of chord progression or anything. Maybe. I say that, and then maybe I'll write like a 4-bar melody on the TD-3 and have that over like a second pattern on this. But either way, I need something that will lead into this, because this is like, you know, this is the chorus. This is the section that is sort of the center of the song, but it's not where it wants to start. I also added a little arpeggio. It's just real simple. And it does that for the whole 8 bars, but you can hear how I'm kind of using the way it blends. The option is to blend, what is it? I think I'm using the high noise. No, I was using the medium, but it blends medium white noise into like gray noise that's medium noise into the square wave, and I'm using that to sort of create a hi-hat on the second 2 beats. And I recorded all of that by using parameter lock and just turning the knob, so it's a little bit, it's got that, those like imperfections that make it like whatever. Alright, so I think it's time to work on the 303 pattern. I had a little think about it, and I think like we're using one pattern that's all 16th notes. It's what I would consider like a techno kind of pattern over the top of like a melodic sequence, so I thought it might be cool to sort of switch it up for that other section I was talking about and have sort of a more melodic segment on the TD-3. This also, like this one has a very slow melody. Alright, so I've had a little think about it, and I think I actually want to go back to the 303, and I want to give it a melody, like I want to give it sort of a more melodic sequence that takes up multiple bars, because right now we have a very slow melody playing here over the top of this pattern, which I would consider sort of like a standard techno pattern, I guess. It's like, it's sort of chaotic, and it has a distinct rhythm to it. It has a distinct, like, it's using notes that fit into a specific like chord or structure, but it's not like, it feels kind of random. It was random in this case. So I kind of want to create some kind of like melody on the TD-3. So the first step is going to be to set it back to the internal sequencer, set it back to write mode, and then to actually I'm going to write down the pattern on my notepad. So I've got the pattern written down here. It is, might be a little hard to see. I thought it might be too big to draw in Sharpie, so I just wrote it with a pen. This is how I write down all my patterns. It seems like the way most people do it when they're making videos or when they're online is by using some kind of spreadsheet that has like rows of boxes, and then it like checks off whether it has accents or slides or whether it's up or down an octave, and then it has the notes on top. And I think that's just ugly as all hell. So this is how I write it. You can see that there's notes with lines above them, and that indicates that they're in the lower octave, and the notes with lines below them are in the upper octave. Slides and accents are notated on top. There are no rests or ties in this pattern, but rests and ties are notated as well, using a slash for the rest and a straight across line for the tie. So I'll be writing down all my patterns like that and referencing them back too, because I'm not sure if I want to keep this, and I don't really know if I can change change the parts I want without ruining the pattern entirely, so I've written it down to help myself keep track. Alright, so I've done a little bit of work. I've started a second section here. So far I'm sticking with a 4 on the floor kick. I made a basic pattern just sort of as a placeholder. I've also added a little square wave, or I think this is a pulse arpeggio. Really ravey, really nice. Bass line. I just recorded this in by hand, so it's like not perfect. And there's this magic thing that happens with the 3. I swear, like, this thing is magic. Fatboy Slim was absolutely correct, and like, I haven't tried this yet, and you can see why it works if you look at the pattern, if you look at where the accents are placed on the pattern, but you get this whole new melody that just shows up if you turn this up. And this is going to work best if the resonance is high, cutoff is low, envelope is low, decay is high. Yeah, so currently we have one pattern. I kind of wish I had spent more time talking about it while I was making it, but I wasn't even really thinking about it. I just entered a bunch of notes and it just came out right first try, and the entire piece is sort of coming together around it, which is really nice. Like, I don't need to change this pattern at all. I can just switch the settings up here from something that's really aggressive and ravey to like something that's quieter and more melodic for the second section. And this is where I thought I kind of wanted to come up with more patterns for this, and I might come up with another one just for fun, but I think for now, like, I'm really happy with where this is heading. So right now I have a bass line in this section, no melody, no backup chords or anything. There could be a lot of texture that could add it here. I could add some ear candy here, like to the end of like a 4-bar phrase, so that's not just the same thing every time. And then from there, like, the bones of this are already, like, they're all there. Everything's all here. I just need to flesh it out. Okay, so I have made a couple of changes. I added, one of the main things I added is two tracks in the first one. The first track is sort of a Morse code type sounding thing. And then there's just a bit of sort of atonal. That wasn't supposed to. There's also this atonal sort of sting. And that can be just sort of added in as needed. And I think that's how I'm going to start it off, with that Morse code and the little like whale song thing, and then go into the drums and that. And then from there we'll go into the other part, which is basically the same, except I doubled up on the melody. I added a harmony to it. And now I've had parts in songs in the past where I sort of had something like this, where it was sort of, it had sort of an introspective feel, and then it would go big, and the drums especially would go big with lots of like wild patterns and like cymbals and like an extended, you know, the whole drum patterns just a fill. And I'm kind of considering doing that with this, but I also like don't want to. I don't want to do all that work, and I don't know, we'll see. I'm just not feeling super thrilled about this today. Like, I feel like this song's alright, but I'm just not having a great time, I suppose. So we'll just make some more, like, attempts at making changes, but right now I think I need to take a break because I'm kind of getting burnt out. So I'm going to take a bit of a break and then come back to this in like an hour maybe and see where I stand on it. Alright, so I went ahead and took a bit of a break, and I also worked on this a bit more. I've got a whole new section here. And I've got some new TD-3 patterns as well. So I'm just going to play these dry. Let's turn off the delay. So there's kind of a lot going on there, but there's sort of an underlying melody to it. And what I had to do for the new part, which is basically the same, it still has like the little Morse code beat. I added this nice pad. Got the bass line. And just a floor on the floor kick. And then the melody. melody, this is the best way to hear it, just on its own. And it's those two patterns that I have in the brackets there. So if you want to, like, copy them or something, I don't know. But what I did is that I took a melody and then I moved some of the notes up or down an octave for the TD-3 pattern. And I would move them up or down an octave after there's a slide, so that you get these really wild slides instead of something really standard. And then that, like, the melody wasn't coming through strongly enough, so I had to add this part. But all in all, it comes out really well now. I also got this little, I've got this little PSG part where I'm using some sound lock to control, like, which sound is playing on which steps to alternate between, like, a low noise and a high noise. And it's just this nice bouncy pattern that fits in really well with everything. And I'm sort of using that noise, same as the first pattern, in place of like a hi-hat or some other drum with lots of like an atonal drum, like a cymbal or something. So from that section, it'll go back to, so this is the A theme. This is still the A theme. And then the B theme is the one with the chord progression. So from this pattern, which is pattern 3, it'll go to pattern 2, which is also the A theme. Because I should just like change the names, but it's like once I change them once, they're set in stone, and then I just have to remember which numbers go in which order instead of using the same order that all the other humans use. Anyway, I also changed the drum section for this part a little bit. Got some little snare at the end, and it's got some little clicks in it, and I made it 64 steps instead of 16, so it just doesn't feel as boring. At this point, the song is like, it's not done, but it's like close enough. Like I have everything I want, and I think it flows together well. Basically, the plan is to hold off on this brand new TD-3 melody that I've come up with until like later on in the song, and just stick with this first one all the way through the A theme, and then a B theme with the chord progression, and then back to the A theme. And really, if like at some point I want to add more to this, just like really the drum part is what needs the most work overall, but I don't know, I think it's good. I think that in terms of like what I can reasonably do in a day, like this is really good, because at least for me, like I can work as long as I want on a song in one day, but like the best work I'm going to do is 2 or 3 days later when I haven't listened to it for a while and haven't thought about it, I've done other stuff, and then I pick it back up again. So I think leaving it in sort of this rough state is fine, and I think this one actually holds together a lot better than the other one I made. I'm talking about it like it's a cake or something. I don't know why I'm doing that. I don't know. Only other thing to really think about is how to sort of string the parts together. I'm so sorry. This is going to be really difficult to edit, and it's probably still not going to be, like, my commentary is not going to be super coherent today because I'm just not having a great day. But I'm pretty happy with the song I made, and I think that even if I didn't necessarily explain things well, and I'm not necessarily talking through my decisions as well as I'd like to, the song is still good. So that means something, I guess. Alright, so against my better laziness, I've decided to add yet another section, and this is that one I was talking about where the drums go kind of big. It just sounds like this. It's pretty much exactly the same as the other one, except I changed the drums, and I also took this part, and I just transposed it. It was down here earlier. That's where it was on the earlier part. Now it's up here. I was thinking I might rebalance the audio a bit, bring this one just like 2 ticks up. And I think it was this one. It was this one. Actually, let's transpose this one down an octave. It already is down an octave. That's good. I could delete all of these, enter the notes an octave down, and then transpose it another octave. That would be so silly. I could put it in 2 octaves down from where the notes are now and not have to transpose it at all, but I'm just going to leave it to be. And that's basically like, that's kind of what I did earlier. I realized I didn't really talk about this. Let me save this. So going from this part to the next one. You can hear how many of the parts are the same. The pad sound, this one became more prominent, and I took out, like, this one went up an octave, and this one changed entirely. But I just realized I didn't really talk very clearly about how I did the, like how I went from having 1 section to having 2 sections with the same, like, thing going on. So I just wanted to make sure I, like, mentioned that. I don't know, I'm tired, I'm not talking well. But we added our last section, so it's finally time to make a real recording of this, and I'll see you in a minute. Ah, I blew it so bad right at the end. Okay, you know what? We're keeping it. We're keep. I'll fix it later and do a better one, but like we're keeping it. I'm done. Good night.